It's like that was on cue. That one little cardinal. The second I press play, it's just kind of piercing into this. That's so funny. It's funny to me because what I wanted to talk about is the ordinariness. And just that little song is so extraordinary. It's just gorgeous. And now he's probably done, or moved on. Yeah, it's this topic of reinventing the wheel, like needing to be special, fear of ordinary, fear of just trusting this, when this, right here, right now, feels pointless, feels hopeless, feels toxic, feels just blah, feels boring, ordinary, nothing euphoric, nothing transcendent, all of these apparent problems with this. And ordinary is a certain flavor. That has been coming up with I'm sorry. I'm just so these birds are really like going wild. It's so funny. There's one that's like trying to get into my porch right now. Hi, buddy. I hope that the outdoor videos are as apparent to anyone watching this as they are to me, how nature is wild and untamed and everything that we avoid in ourselves. It's beautiful, it's gorgeous, it's flowering, it's also very violent, it's brutal, it's unpredictable, uncontrollable, very ordinary, very blah at times, very pointless at times. So let's see if the mind can go back to where it was before that little critter came in, or if that even matters. Yeah, ordinary. It's a particular flavor of separation and aliveness, awakeness. That's a particular flavor of being human. I think pretty unique to our species. At least I can't think of another species that is afraid of the ordinary in quite this way. And if you're waiting for me to say something profound, guess what? This is a very ordinary talk. Oh, now there's a woodpecker. I'm being very playful right now because the birds are just tickling me. Often there's a belief, a feeling that comes up when I work with people, that this awakening, that mindfulness, that embodiment, what I'm talking about is in any way different than what they're living and experiencing. That what the words I use are anyway like special or different, or pointing to something seductive and elusive. And you might notice that the words I'm using have been used before. Many times. Millions of times. Trillions of times. There's no reinventing the wheel in this. There's no specialness in this lived experience that's any different from where anyone else is. Things can change when there's awakening to this, because the domino effect is different, but it doesn't subtract the humanness that will always arise. Anger, pain in the body, death, birth, hunger, sexuality, breath. And I've been light in this, but it can feel quite heavy to resist the ordinary. It can feel quite painful. Never being okay, resigning to surrendering to me. Because that is the paradox of like, emptiness, nothing here, no self, no separate. Allowing what's already here, the fullness of everything, and including the me, the self. And when that's seen to be both and everything, then the softening opens. And it's very ordinary. It's so, you see it. I guess that's what I mean by ordinary. It's not foreign to you. You know this. And sometimes there can be a fear that there's something more that I'm missing, or something less that's needed, or how could it possibly be just this bird and this cloud and this rain and the grass and the shadow and the imperfection and the pointlessness. Yeah, I don't have a point that I'm trying to make. And I think the setup of anything that points to this, even though it's alive here and it's happening in any way that it's pointing to, is it can be co-opted. It is co-opted. And the mind externally makes it special. Whether it's a religion pointing to this, or a romantic relationship pointing to this, or some sort of a teacher, or some sort of a video. Because you're not, when you consume it, if you're not in that same room with that person in that moment, then it's a translation of that moment. And it's not bad. But innocently, it becomes a little extraordinary. It becomes a little special. It becomes a little foreign. And the nature of our conditioning in our mind is to do something with things that are foreign, put it on a pedestal, fear it, not understand it, have space from it, project onto it, and not really understand how that foreign experience is here right now. There's no reinventing the wheel. I know I already said that, but all of this that's being spoken to is in everyone's experience. Which is like a pretty arrogant thing to say, because I don't know everyone's experience. So I could be wrong. And I work with a lot of people. I see patterns in myself. Everything that everyone is working with is so relatable because it's happened here in some facet or another. It's still happening here in some facet or another. Is it a problem to be afraid of the ordinary, to need to reinvent the wheel? No. And yes. There's not that much to say. Except it can be really powerful to recognize when the fear of ordinary is coming up. Because then it's seen. There can be a relating to it. And I'm guilty, and I hear like it's so easy to criticize religion, spiritual teachers, like people that point to the justness and the awakening and the aliveness of identity falling. And yeah, absolutely, I've experienced and witnessed deep harm on spiritual, if you want to call it that, on a spiritual level, from teachers who had co-opted concepts, and there's certain manipulation that can really happen there's not an awareness of. The like discernment and working with people and concepts and materials in this inquiry or exploration or whatever is alive for you, that discernment is important. Like there's a vulnerability and a way of being wounded by others spiritually that I could talk a lot about. And many folks are really feeling and dropped in, authentic, awake right here, right now, and pointing. It doesn't make them different from you. It doesn't make them special. It doesn't make them not special. It doesn't make them different. It's not that they're different species. And to trust your authority in this. If someone resonates with you, like, let it resonate. If someone doesn't, then don't listen. some point in all of this, you're the teacher.